Hello, everyone, and welcome back to ID24. Taking over at the top of this hour is myself, Billy Gregory, and I am here with my esteemed colleague, Miss Leonie Watson. Coming up next is Pain with Joe O'Connor.
And just as we are entering the last 4 hours of Inclusive Design 24, I remind you that it's brought to you by the Paciello Group with kind help from our supporters at Barclays and the Center for Inclusive Design. As always, if you have questions for Joe, please tweet them to us using the ID24 hashtag. And we'll be looking out for any really great questions, good tweets, things that made us smile, things that gave us thought-provoking ideas. And at the end of the hour, we'll have another 90J JAWS license to give away. But that's quite enough from Billy and myself. Without any further pause, I'm going to hand over to Joe. Away you go.
Hello. Last minute changes to my slides. No good. No good. Stop. Hello. So, welcome to ID24. This is a session on pain and interfaces. And I'm Joe O'Connor. I'll get the slides for you right now. So this is a presentation about pain. I can be reached at Accessible Joe on Twitter. And if you go to accessiblejoe.com, you can download the slides. The slides have links in them. So they won't work on YouTube, but they will work as a PDF. So if you just go to accessiblejoe.com, you can download the slides. I got some comments before preparing. I was talking with various people about pain and disability, and I got a message from Masterwork Consulting. Thank you. It's discouraging to read accessibility literature that doesn't acknowledge pain caused by chronic pain. This is a quote from the US National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke. In the United States alone, more than 100 million people experience some form of pain that lasts from a few weeks to years. Million people in the US alone. 50 million severe pain. That's quite a number of people. And if we seek out statistics in other countries, we might find equally shocking results. So I have been in constant pain since May 2017. The way to gauge pain severity is if the person in pain can communicate, rate pain from 1 to 10. An observer rates the pain face Baker rating scale. Chart says Universal Pain Assessment Tool. There's the verbal question, or the question for the person in pain. Can you rate your pain from 1 to 10? And there's no pain. 10 is the worst possible pain. No hurt. The ACE's pain rating scale is below that. It says no hurt, smiling face, 0, through hurts even more, and downturned eyelash, and hurts worst, and that's with tears. And I'll add one to this. It's pain from 11 to 100 is smiling. This is an alt of the pain chart here for those of you who will be viewing the slides. There are no other measurement tools. Misinformation abounds. So I made a joke there about the Irish and pain and being stoic, and cultural differences in response to pain chart from nursing textbook, which is in wide, has been used for years, and it groups Arabs, Muslims, Asians, Blacks, Jews, Hispanics, and their possible dealing with pain. It's not, it's, some of it's crazy. Native Americans, they may pick a sacred number when asked to rate pain on a numerical. This is misinformation. They have pledged to take it out at their next printing. So the alt for that is a chart from a widely used Pearson nursing textbook, cultural differences in response to pain here. And I didn't have the energy to type out the page, and the page resisted OCR. Find a different way of liberating that text. Learning from pain on living a continuously interrupted life by Quinn Norton. Good link to pursue if you want to know with pain. This was the link was furnished to me by Jennifer, who I thank for keeping me in the loop. Palliative care and dangerous. There's an excellent video by 14, those of you who have Twitter up, I would like you to tweet Kate Nicholson 14 and tell her I sent you. Also sends her regards. So what we lose when we undertreat pain is we lose a lot of, there's a great energy loss to pain. And when it's undertreated, it's a disaster. There's a link to a video by TEDx Boulder, which is her video. I recommend you see that. The Opioid Commission excuse me, the Opioid Commission in the US claims pain treatment for drug deaths. There's a whole thing going around here about, there's another story, eliminating opioids for unwise. Yes. Now, I don't engage in opioids. I don't take anything from affecting me from the neck up. I'm not directly affected by this, but here's another story, the myth of an opioid prescription crisis. An issue that faces pain sufferers. Medical boards are actually contacting doctors back on patients, and there have been a number of suicides directly attributed to the cutting back of their pain. Palliative care can be dangerous. It can result in addiction. Macular dynasties of painkillers has generated billions of dollars and millions of addicts. Story in the New Yorker. So I recommend you download the slides, or at least view them online, and look at the links if you're interested in this aspect. So living with pain, living with extreme pain, takes extra energy. Now, I had a stroke in December of 2015, and leg, which has a condition called lymphedema, and I was left with a raging infection by antibiotics. Have some speech impediment. So I'm living with the results of that stroke, which I have to thank my brilliant wife for getting me to the hospital within the magic circle, or the effects would have been much worse. And living with a lack of energy since then, and every once in a while the light flares up, and it did so and I took the antibiotics, but I was actually hospitalized with sepsis.
Joe, I think we might have lost your line.
Yeah, I think Joe might have dropped from the chat here. we will
Okay,
just,
it sounds.
yeah, we'll just hold on a second. We'll see if he jumps back in, see if he's had a problem. I think he just,
Okay. Looks like he's on his way back.
yeah, I think he just had a temporary loss of connection there. That's what happens. It's live internet. And
Technology.
believe it or not, if the internet was perfect, you wouldn't need events like this.
Thank you.
All right, Joe, do we have you back?
Okay. Get away.
Yes.
Well, just waiting for Joe's slides to load there, and then we can get going. We don't see your slides yet, so you just need to.
Maybe I should get out of them and play them again. Screen share.
There we go. So just a reminder to everybody who's watching, if you do have questions for Joe, please do tweet them to the ID24 hashtag. We will be collecting them and asking Joe at the end of the session. It looks like Joe's back up and running, so I will bow out and let Joe finish.
Hi. Well, I spoke this presentation aloud several times and arrived at about 45 minutes, but I've been going at a rapid clip, so there will be probably plenty of time for questions after. Just moving around the web takes too much energy. Levels require strategies. Not being able to sit at a desk may mean more reliance on mobile. So indeed, I have taken to using my phone more, my laptop. I can get in a comfortable position with my laptop, but I'm actually out and about all day, so I'm trying to do things, and this really presents me with some problems. The use of mobile devices is difficult with small targets and fonts and button presses. Environment saps my energy. Banners, pop-ups, persistent headers and footers, and sharing buttons, all of these to a great energy drain. And I noticed Patrick mentioned an energy drain from dealing with the sites that he audited, the sites, and it is very draining. Motion picture film was standardized frames a second. The persistence of vision you through from frame to frame, and the movies came alive on the screen. But there's a problem with 24-frame projection, which is that it makes you ever so slightly tired. It saps a little bit of your energy to making up for the shuddering that you can't actually see what you're experiencing. Cameron decided to shoot Avatar 50 frames per second. There was a great furor in Hollywood. This would kill the craft, and now we have digital screens in many theaters and digital projectors and frame rate. So it has become natural, to me at least, to see a higher frame rate. And this is a fact that some of your saps your energy. Some sites counts, passwords and security questions may be numbered. About password security, apps and password security, websites where like 1Password, where you can enter in all your different passwords and or it'll take care of it for you. But I just don't trust if the level of hacking that's going on so vast and so deep, I'm not trusting those mechanisms. So I have my own password and security routine. Okay, but I have 346 accounts, and I don't certainly use all of them, but it's quite a feat. CAPTCHAs users, or as they say in New Jersey, CAPTCHAs defeat users. It's is a frequent occurrence. This is where I give up. Go into a site and it says, would you like to turn notifications on? I haven't been to your site yet. I don't want any notifications about anything at any time anyway. So no, I dismissed that. Then another pop-up. No. So, okay. You know, I still haven't seen your site. In recent, my recent pattern is to just ditch that site. I just get out of it, even if I need the information. I'll live without it. You know, I'll have a different focus. So think of presenting on this without looking at some solutions. So the word solutions is on the screen right now. Mark. So I'm going to have to bear with you. I'm going to have to ask you to bear with me. Later, there's the suspension of disbelief. And I'm going to ask you to suspend right now as we go into this next section. Just don't think between breaths and watch your own screen. Those were my 3 rules of personal computing when I taught in Appalachia and institutions. When I taught computing rules. So here's something interesting. Healing blessing for temporal and dosage controlled drug delivery. What caught my eye was the clickbait, control your bandage from your phone. And not quite, but working. This is from Advanced Functional Materials. Again, you can download the slides with the functional links at accessiblejoe.com. Advanced functional materials are addressing this need for dosage-controlled drug delivery to the wound itself, dosing the whole body, dosing the wound area itself. And I got in touch with the investigators on this project, and he said they were not anywhere near considering doing a so it may be developed too late for me. Back to the web, notifications. Here's something interesting. In Chrome, you can go to Preferences, Settings, Advanced, Content Settings, and toggle Blocked. And by the way, there's no clear explanation of what exactly you should do to get the blocked. I leave it up to you to discover that. It is certainly on my mind. It's on everyone's mind. Suspend your disbelief here that VPN helps with calming the environment, but it does. Many VPNs collect and aggregate your data. It's anonymized, but with triangulation, they can reconstitute you like a French sponge. TunnelBear, however, does not keep any info data, as far as I can tell. Your mileage may vary. This is interesting, an interesting development. These are all interesting developments here. Firefox is getting a Tor-based security upgrade. There's a story by Tristan Green in TNW about this. Firefox is getting a Tor-based security upgrade. Well, it turns out that Tor is based on Firefox, iteration of Firefox. But they're going to use some of the Tor security code in Firefox. This is very interesting. Content blocking. I find this to be essential. I use it to calm the environment and also prevent malicious tracking. I'm sure that there are many of you who would like to address this. Now, if addresses your bottom line, if you're depending on ads to pay the bills, might I suggest an HTML ad in your inline in your HTML? Display a note from our sponsor and a link to them. I don't mind looking at stuff like that, though I've never bought anything like that ever. But it's just very simple to chunk that says, would you like to subscribe to our newsletter? I'll gladly view that, but I don't want all this flying. I need to calm my environment down. This is another interesting idea. Unobstruct is an iOS Safari content blocker that kills sticky headers and sharing buttons only on certain sites, but it's a start. Are the ones that descend when you're scrolling up. Buttons are, you know what? I have never Twitter sharing button ever once. The story, I will copy the URL, and because I don't want to engage in Twitter iOS app or an app, I just don't like them. They're way too busy for me. Twitterific, and I just won't use them. So if you can get rid of the sharing buttons and the sticky headers, you can actually breathe. You can actually get the information from the website. And that's, on a small screen, that's essential. Read. And I know about, turning on basically text only. But now there are some content blocking softwares that on desktop, they're simply plugins or add-ons for browsers. And Adware Plus has plugins and add-ons for browsers. But when it comes to mobile, they require you to use their own, which I don't believe in. So I use of other content. I'm currently using 2 content blockers. You can ask me on Twitter about that. So Adware Plus blocks the annoying ads, disables tracking, and blocks domains known to spread malware. That's from their propaganda. And it's a nonprofit organization, and they have pledged not to sell your data. Here's an interesting development. Made from a data storing fabric, will remember passcodes for you, the story in quartz. So if I could turn this password, if I could do anything, I would do that. I would turn it around. I would make it a user-centered and a password that's stored on each site that I go to, universal password. And remember, I ask you to suspend your disbelief, breathe in and out. So, clothes made from a data storing fabric, passcodes for you. This is very interesting information. This is not in the near future, but thing that people are working on. So what I'm thinking of is that we have better description of it, privacy shield, which we drive around the internet in, combining the separate parts that I listed above and that I just mentioned. Standardization needs to be done. Add profile elements that are selectively shared. Allow select access to very narrow profile info. Password. We're finally allowing ourselves to go around the web shielded with our own unlock for everything. And this would certainly low for web users in general, especially users with disabilities. When the pain marker is present, provide UX to match. This is a tall order, but again, these are just some ideas that I have. I was talking with Vinny Boudreau, and I didn't really consider myself. I know people who are far more impacted than I am. My own daughter is far more impacted than I am. But Shelley Powers on Twitter said, disabled means having a mental or physical condition that limits movement, sense, or activity. In fact, not as dismissal. And I see that I was being ableist in my thinking about disability, and this frees me up to my constant pain does limit my physical. If you had to live with me, you'd know that my mental condition is certainly affected. Emily Ledow says from Twitter, hello. So the discussion devolved into different nomenclature for disabled. So Emily says, hello, I'm disabled. Disabled. Please don't use euphemisms. I'm not challenged, handicapable, differently abled. And apparently we need to add able to this list now. So I believe I run through my slides. I can go back to live. Hello.
Hey there, Joe.
Hello.
Oh, there we are.
Wow.
So many buttons,
That was
so little time.
that was a truly thought-provoking and insightful talk, Joe. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences and your advice and guidance around a topic that I think doesn't really get any airtime very much. It's certainly not something I've ever heard anyone talk about before, and haven't read much about on the blogs and other places. So I think it's really great that you've shared this with us today. Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome. Are there any questions? Did I stun everyone?
I haven't seen a lot of questions on Twitter. A lot of comments. One person actually recommended a book they thought you might enjoy. Charles Hall asked if you had heard of Calm Technology by the O'Reilly Group. I guess your comment about needing to calm down your environment, which by the way was a fantastic way of putting it. Yeah, I think your comment about calming down your own environment sort of reminded him of that book. So he sort of sent it our way to see if you had heard of it.
No, but thank you, and I'll take a look.
And it was interesting for me. One of the things you mentioned about the 24 frame projection, you know, it had never occurred to me that something like that could could affect your experience. You know, the amount of energy it takes to watch something or engage with it. You know, that was really startling to me, especially, I suppose, because I don't see at all. You know, the notion of something being hard to watch or energy draining to watch was quite remarkable.
Well, I spent a number of years in Hollywood, so I'm up on the technologies.
I didn't know that.
Yes, I worked in Hollywood. I worked on Annie Hall all the way up to Deer Hunter, I guess, was the last.
Really? That's very cool.
Well, now I know what I want Joe's talk to be about next year.
Right. We want the inside scoop on your Hollywood years.
It was mostly chasing producers down alleyways, trying to fish checks out of their pockets.
I'm sold. Excellent. Well, I think one thing we have to do now, just as we're at the end of the hour, is just award our 90-day JAWS license for the hour to someone. And I think this time we're going to go for a tweet that brought a bit of a smile to our faces, and it comes from Chris Loisel, and apologies if the pronunciation of your last name is wrong there, who said that after listening to Russ Wheatley's talk earlier, he'd quite like Russ's voice to be the synthesizer for his screen reader text-to-speech. So I'm all in favor of having great voices for screen readers, so that one gets my +1. So Chris, if you're still listening, send us a DM and your contact information, and we'll get that information out to you as soon as we can. Billy, any further thoughts, or are we?
No, I think we're almost at the top of the hour. So I guess once again, obviously, we'd like to thank Joe O'Connor for his amazing talk. And we also like to thank our supporters at Barclays and the Center for Inclusive Design. If you want to know more about either one of our supporters, you can visit the inclusivedesign24.org website to learn more about them. Again, if you enjoyed this talk or any of the talks today, or hopefully all of the talks today, please hit that subscribe button on YouTube and follow ID24. We've got lots of events coming up, and yeah, we want you a part of them. I guess that's it for us for right now. We'll catch everybody at the top of the hour. We're in the home stretch for the final 3 talks. So Joe, again, thank you so much for your time. That was a fantastic talk.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you all for supporting this.
Awesome. Okay, we'll catch everyone back shortly.